Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's so glad to see you this morning. It's sunny. It's lovely. Spring is in the air. We're all looking forward to that, right? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, Albert. You got that right. I'm so glad to see you all today. We're chugging to the end of this season of Ablaze, and we have a wonderful witness that's going to be coming up shortly to talk to us all and share her message. But first, a couple of things to share with you. I don't know if you were here last night. Was anybody here last night? Who was here last night? Woohoo! St. Joseph's table was phenomenal. We got to have more of those. Let me tell you, we're going to have to divvy up lots of these feast days and celebrate them to the nines, because that's what we did yesterday. We praised St. Joseph. We gave him praise and glory and thanked him for his intercession in that beautiful church and what he does for us day in and day out. And we just had a wonderful, wonderful evening. If you weren't here, a part of it, you missed out, but we still love you anyway. We hope to have more things like that coming forward, so please, look out for that. Check out the bulletin. Make sure you're connected with us. We've got our social media everywhere. We've got YouTube. We've got our Catholic Church of St. Monica page that you're closed. Get on that. Be a part of it, because there are so many wonderful things happening in this church we want you to be a part of. And speaking of wonderful things, we have a beautiful breakfast before you that was prepared by our friends from the Haiti Twinning Mission. So let's give them a round of applause for breakfast this morning. And we are looking forward to hear all of that's happening with Haiti. So I'm going to welcome up my friends Karen and Gilbert. Come on up. Will you join me up here? And we'll have a little chat. And then we've got some pictures rolling in the Whitney Clinic behind us. Yeah, you come on over on this side, I think. If Denny gives me the high sign that we did this right. There we go. So we're so glad to have you up here. And I know there's so much going on in Haiti. And I want to start right there because, the world is a little crazy right now between Russia and Ukraine and COVID. But there's one thing that's always on our hearts, and that is Haiti. So can you give us an update, Gilbert in particular, what's happening in Haiti and what is the community like out there right now? What is the country like?
Thank you again, Anne. My name is Gilbert Pierre. I'm originally from Haiti and part of the Haiti Twinning Mission from Sacred Heart. And Haiti has always been in our heart. And thank you to the parishioners of St. Monica for the donations and support. Of course, Haiti has been in the news for many times with disasters, the earthquake, and the turmoil politically and unrest. Currently, still, we're having a lot of, I would say, unrest with gang activity that is terrorizing not only the capital, but also all the parts of Haiti that are affected with this insecurity. In a nutshell, this is an ongoing situation. It's unfortunate, but we trust our Lord to actually give us some kind of deliverance from this situation as we speak. And I'm going to let Karen.
And some of the things that we are able to provide at St. Monica's is, as you termed it, an oasis in our parish, our twinning parish of Sacre-Cœur. So can you tell us a little more, Karen, about what's going on there?
Yes, we are providing for these people a refuge. The whole situation is a parish. It's in a compound. So we have the parish, the rectory, and the Whitney Clinic, including a kitchen for a food bank, for a food ministry, right there in the compound. So when I refer to the compound, that's the whole thing. And it's an oasis, it's a refuge for people. There's so much chaos, there's gunfire in the streets. The people can come in there. We have the regular masses going on, Father's doing first communions, education. He's got our youth group ministry that goes out and goes to the poorest of the poor, is what we really do, is get out into the communities where Father vets these people, and we reach out and get to the poorest of the poor. And when I say we, that's you. That you are the people that support this ministry 100%. Without you, there is no compound. So it is a huge commitment for our parish, and we have a lot of our hearts are we just bleed for that, but we want to thank you also for the I Give Catholic campaign. Everyone that was a part of that. It's really helping us get through this year. So, and we have some upcoming fun things, so I'm going to put that back to you, and you can help me out with
Yeah,
it.
so just, I know that with the I Give Catholic in the past 2 years, we've made that a focus. Fathers wanted particularly to make that a focus. The past year, we've raised $63,000 in the I Give Catholic alone, correct? And we're so grateful to all of you who've provided that. And we need to continue to support them in their work. The work that we give them through our donations is a small bit in what we get back with their spiritual support. They give us great spiritual support, and they are an inspiration to us. So there's other ways that we can continue to do that. I know we have a lot of things upcoming, so can you share with us real quickly just a couple of things?
Okay. The big thing is coming up on May 7th. That is the weekend of Mother's Day. Put that date on your calendar. Instead of having the galas, we're going to bring an event right here to this parish. It's going to be a lovely tropical Haitian flair dinner. We'll have the Bid for Hope, and we're also going to do a thing called the Big Game Show, which is going to be a huge game show. It's going to be fun. It's going to be prizes, everything. It's going to be a wonderful evening. So we want everybody to come in and join us. We're working on having some, maybe some babysitting going along for those who need it. But it's going to be another one of our big fundraisers. And it's also going to be like our side oasis, because don't we all need something where we can kind of relax, enjoy an evening, and actually have some fun and laughs. And so we'll be thinking of us providing an oasis for the people in Haiti and us providing an oasis for the people here. So thank you so much. That's what we look forward. That's all coming out on the social media and the bulletins, and it'll be coming up and out within a week or so.
Well, we really appreciate your commitment, the team's commitment to all of our efforts in Haiti, and thank you both for what you've done today and what you continue to do.
And thank you for the opportunity for us to be up here. Enjoy your breakfast.
And thank you for the team that has been supporting us, especially Denny, who has provided this pictures, the videos, Billy Eliasin, who's in the back, who has been reporting the financials for us, Renat Laurent, and all of you that are interested to know a little bit more. I'm going to let Karen talk a little bit.
Yeah. Real quick, we have a table over there. We do need help with this event. So anybody that's feeling their heart tug would like to come and just put your name and email. We'll use you some way, and we definitely need help. So please step up and volunteer, and we thank you for all that.
A warm thank you to all of our friends in the Haiti Mission. Thank you so much, Haiti Twinning, for what you do, for allowing us to give back and to support them. And I know that there'll be more information in different ways that we can help support them in their mission going forward. So please keep an eye out for that as we see that going forward. A couple of other things to share with you going on. The Lenten Penance service is going to be Monday, March 28th from 6 to 8 p.m. There'll be multiple priests here besides our beloved two. So if you need to embrace that beautiful sacrament of penance, please come for that. We're going to be participating in the consecration of Ukraine and Russia. That's going to be happening March 25th, 11:30 a.m. outside of our Perpetual Adoration Chapel in front of the Fatima statue. So we ask everyone to join us and join in these prayers that we will be lifting up for that event. A couple other things going on. We'll have only two more. I said it, only two more ablazes coming up. That will be March 27th and April 3rd. We'll be focusing on renovation. So we hope you'll join us for those two. Another shout out for Catholic Camp. If you're feeling a tug to be here for Catholic Camp the week of June 20th through the 24th. I know Christy Kwan and all of the organizers would love extra help with that. So please consider that. There's information in the bulletin, or you can contact Christy directly to get to volunteer for that. And then finally, there's more information, all you high school seniors out there, for the Men's Club Scholarship. Look into the bulletin to find information about that. That was a quick download. We have also in front of you one more thing. There is the Synod on Synodality. There's a paper that was put on your table, and we need your feedback. So please feel free to pray about this, reflect on this, and then write some answers to this so that the church can take a look at those answers and their thoughts on your own beliefs and where we need to be with our church and where the Holy Spirit moves you there. So that's on your tables. Please take a look at that, fill those out, and we'll be collecting those as well. At this point, it's going to be my honor to introduce one of my newest friend who I got to take a journey with just recently, and her name is Lily Willits. She is the youngest, the daughter of our Rosary Army founders, Greg and Jennifer Willits, who are here with us today. Lily is a seventh grader at St. John Bosco Academy. She's been with us for a year here at St. Monica's. She has survived being the youngest of 5, youngest of 6. I understand how that goes. And has literally been surrounded by rosaries and Catholic media since before she came into existence, I'm pretty sure. She is going to be talking today about why the Latin Mass means so much to her. She's going to be talking from the heart and sharing with us her love of her faith. So if you would give a warm, warm welcome to my friend Lily as she comes up here. Come on up, Lily.
Hi. In case you don't know who I am, my name is Lily Willits. I'm 13 years old. I've been going to St. Monica's for almost a year now, and I love it. So before we get started, I'm going to start with prayer. So in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord, please help me just to say what you want me to say to these people. Hopefully I can inspire somebody or just maybe encourage more people to go to the Latin Mass. And we love you so much, Lord, and thank you just so much for the gift of the Eucharist and the gift of the Rosary and all these beautiful things that you've given us. And in Jesus' name we pray. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. Okay, so I am a cradled Catholic, so I never got much of a saying in where I can go to Mass. But let me tell you, I am so happy that my parents decided to go to St. Monica's. And I love the TLM. I'm just going to go right out and say it. The TLM is amazing. I love it so much. And if you think that you don't know anything about the TLM, I thought that the T standed for the and not traditional. So you're okay. So the TLM is amazing. And like you've already heard me say. So imagine that you have 2 turkeys cooked. They're cooked turkeys. And one is this magnificent, like beautiful classic turkey that you would have like at Thanksgiving. And this other one is like this oven roasted turkey from like a Kroger deli. And it's still great. Like both turkeys are amazing and delicious and great for you. But one is like really, really, really great. That's kind of how it is with the TLM and the Nova Sordo. And the TLM turkey, like some people just flat out prefer the oven roasted turkey, and that's fine if you do. But what I'm going to say is just try to get the classic turkey in you. Like, just try, like, set a goal for yourself. Like, maybe like once a month or twice a month or once a week. It was just one of those. And a very commonly asked question for the TLM is, why would I go to something that I don't understand? Well, there are multiple solutions to this. First of all, there are translation books, so you can follow along and then learn to understand. And like you can also gain from this. You can learn Latin and, practice your Latin skills. And then the next time you see your friends, you'll be like, oh, hey, what's up? And then you'll just recite an entire Ave Maria. And then they'll be like, whoa, what is wrong with you? Like, what is going on with this person right now? Like, you can really just, freak them out, but at the same time impress them. And, increasing in your Latin is really cool. Like, at the beginning, I already said the Ave Maria, and I learned that because of school, and I'm very glad that my school taught me to do that. Because learning your Latin can just you can understand more. And the translation books, they also really help. And let's see, sorry. So when I first started going to the Latin Mass, I did not understand what's going on. Because when I was younger, I, like a lot of younger kids, didn't enjoy going to Mass. I didn't see the purpose. I was like, well, why would I go to this? It's so boring. All they do is just talk about church and Jesus and stuff, and like I already know these stories. Why do I need to hear them again, like every week? And the more and more I went to Mass, I was just like, okay, I guess I'm fine with this. But then we started going to St. Monica's, and I would literally just daydream throughout the entire Mass. I would have like a watch with me, and I would just like, okay, when is this going to be over? Oh, this is really annoying. But then I started going to the Latin Mass, or not the Latin Mass, sorry. I started going to St. Monica's. And the time that I would usually daydream, I kind of got snapped out of it. Because, the priests, they would give their homilies, and so I'd always daydream during my homilies. But this, at St. Monica's, I couldn't daydream because I got snapped out because I heard super loud, enthusiastic homilies. And I was like, wait, what's happening? And then I looked up and I saw this man. He's like preaching like crazy. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, this is supposed to be really boring. This is not really boring. Like, so the certain priest, I'm not going to say who, but the certain priest was like delivering the fire. And then I didn't understand it. But we kept going to St. Monica's. And then I started like understanding, like, hey, this is kind of all right. Like, I like this. This is cool. And so then we went to the Latin Mass, and then I was like, okay, this is really weird. Like, the guy isn't even facing us. He's talking in a different language, and I barely say anything. Why am I going to this? But like I said at the beginning, I didn't have much of a saying, so I just went. And then Christmas came along. And usually I'd say that in a happy voice. So my parents said, so Lily, we're going to go to the Latin Mass on Christmas Day. And I was freaking out. I did not like that at all because we always would go to Mass on Christmas Eve. And it was Novus Ordo. And then, so when my parents put that on me, I was like, well, but what about the presents? And what about getting home? We're going to get home and like half the day will already be over. Why would I want to do this? But we still went. And guess what? I was fine. The Latin Mass was good. And when I came home, the presents were still there. I still enjoyed my day. Even though I had to make that little sacrifice, I could still enjoy my day. Like, it's fine if I have to wake up early, because it's a beautiful gift. And the Latin Mass is such a great thing. I love going to the Latin Mass, and the more and more that I would go, the happier I would get. Like, this little secret, but the Latin Mass has literally brought me to tears before. And I will just be so filled with joy. Like a giant wave of joy just crashes down on me, and like I can barely take it. So then like the wave of joy comes over and then tears just come out. And like I'm not saying like if you see me in the Latin Mass, look over to see if I'm crying. Like don't do that. That's but if you happen to be looking in the direction that I'm in and you see tears, then you could be like, oh yeah, she wasn't lying, cool. But it's just such a great experience going to the Latin Mass, and I love going more and more. And so one time we had to take my brother to the airport, and by we I mean my parents, because I'm not going to wake up that early. But they had to take my brother Ben to the airport, and so we were kind of not really forced, but we had to go to the Saturday evening Mass, and that's only in Novus Ordo. And so I was like, okay, no big deal, it's just going to be like old times. And so we went to the Novus Ordo on Saturday evening, and I sat in the pews, Mass started, and I felt sad. That's just the best way I can put it. I felt sad, because I've been going to this beautiful Latin Mass, and then I went to the Novus Ordo, and it was just like, it didn't feel the same. I still got joy from the Eucharist, because I still got to receive Jesus, but I didn't get that wave that crashed down on me. And it wasn't just me. I could feel, it's a weird description, but I could feel other sadness. And I didn't know how to really describe it or handle it. And like, I was confused, because I was like, why do I feel like this? I want to feel that happy wave, and it never really came. And so next week happened, and we went back to the Latin Mass, And I was like, oh, this is so much better. It's like I could finally breathe. And I was like, okay, we're back in the groove. And so just I had this little realization. It's imagine how our guardian angels feel in Mass. And this can just be any Mass. Like, let's say the Novus Ordo. Imagine how they feel. They're probably like, they're sitting in the pews and they're like super excited. And they see like the Eucharist and they're like, oh, it's Jesus! I love him! Oh my gosh! They're like freaking out. Now imagine how they feel in the TLM. They gotta be absolutely just going crazy. Like, they gotta be like, it's Jesus, but even better. It's amazing. So, the Latin Mass makes me really happy because it's like the more I go, I feel like I'm learning something new. And it's like, as soon as it ends, I'm like, what, already? Oh, it's like I want to press the replay button. It's just like, we go again. That was really fun. It's not that it's like fun, but it's just like an amazing, I just don't really want to use the word experience. It's like just an amazing, overwhelming, it's just like literally words, no words can really describe how beautiful and amazing it is. And the way that we can represent our amazing, beautiful faith is to go to an amazing, beautiful Mass, which is the TLM. And the TLM has really changed me and really just like, it's just like filled me with joy. I've noticed that I'm happier and my family's happier. We are just happier together because the TLM it's just kind of brought more joy into our lives. And it's like an undescribable feeling of amazingness. And I really hope that like each and every one of you can just like give the TLM a chance. Like you don't have to go every single week. It'd be amazing if you did. But just try. Try that classic Thanksgiving turkey. Try that beautiful amazingness and just it means a lot to me that I get to go to the Latin Mass and that my family chose this. It's like God literally like kind of like spoke through them. It's just like, hey, go to Latin Mass. And then they're like, okay. And so we started going to the Latin Mass. And I love it so much. And it just means so much to me. I'm very, very happy that I am that blessed. Like we are all blessed that we can go to a Mass at all. Like we are baptized Catholics, and the Lord, He made sure that this path was for all of us. He made sure that we were put in the families that He put us in. He made sure that we can have this, that we are safe in this church. And there might be some crazy stuff going on out there, but we have the Lord, we have the Eucharist, we have Mass. We have all of this, so we don't really need to worry about all of that. Like, God has just blessed each and every one of us in so many different ways. And I love how He can just help us through. And like earlier in Mass, before it started this morning, something like kind of crazy happened to me. I was freaking out because I'm so nervous about this talk. And I asked my dad, do you have like a Bible on you? And so he gave me like his little book of scriptures and stuff. And I just said, Lord, guide me to go to the right page that will just bring me comfort. And let me tell you, when I read that page, I read the word comfort like 10 times. It was crazy. And I was like freaking out. I was like, did the Lord seriously just do that? I was like, He's real. He's actually like blessing me. And it's just crazy. Like, I am so blessed to be Catholic. Like, if I feel like crazy wave of emotion just going to the Latin Mass, like, I can't imagine not being Catholic, because I've never lived in a world where I am not Catholic. Like, some of you guys are converts. I will never have that experience. I have forever been Catholic, and it kind of hurts my mind to think about not being Catholic. It's like, wait, a world that I don't know about all this? That's weird. I'm not going to do that. I'm planning on staying Catholic my entire life. And so I'm a little short on time, but I'm going to kind of wrap it up a little bit. So what the Latin Mass means to me is that I get to be filled with joy and reverence and still fulfill my duty as a Catholic. And going to just a normal Mass every week, like the Novus Ordo every week, is great. But going to the Latin Mass every week is even greater. And that's what I have, so thank you.
Wonderful, Lily. Thank you so much. Another round of applause for Lily. Fantastic, Lily. That's a beautiful witness that she just gave us, and we appreciate her sharing her exuberance. I know that in particular, Mom and Dad need to be worried because the Catholics next door might be upended by her right now. If you don't know their show, The Catholics Next Door, I think we have the new Catholic next door in a new edition here, right? Right before us with Lily. She has created a couple of questions for us, so we're going to extend our time a little bit here and allow you to dig deeper into them as we reflect on her thoughts on the traditional Latin Mass. So the questions we have before us, number one, if you've been to a traditional Latin Mass, what made you want to go? Question number two, if you've never attended a TLM, what is the reason you haven't gone? And number three, what sacrifices would you have to make to attend the TLM more regularly? So we're going to put, I think, 7 minutes on the clock, and we're going to allow you to dive into these questions for a little bit. We'll be back and have a little extra time for Father Jack as well. So, table talk it is. Great discussions. I'm sure there's some great discussions happening at the table about the message from our exuberant Lily today. Very exuberant. We're very thankful for Lily coming in and speak to us today. Let's give her a round of applause again. And also, I want to share just a quick message. The Haiti Twinning team wants to make sure that there's plenty of food. So if you want to grab some more, please go back and get that. Everybody loves to hear some more food back there, right? We have a couple other things just want to mention. There is going to be, Lily just whipped right through that Latin like, ABCs. And Ms. Chris Michaels has organized the ability for you, too, to learn Latin. And so Thursday, March 31st from 6:30 to 8 p.m., if you want to reach out to her, look to the bulletin. Father Trun will be here teaching us Latin if you'd like to learn that. So just want to add that to your list of things, as well as just heard today that April 1st, we will have 150 relics coming from Father Carlos. So put that on your calendar of events as well. That'll be a wonderful opportunity as well. We have a little bit of extra time. So before Father Jack comes up with a mission, we're going to have him come up and answer a few questions. If you have any questions about the subject this year, to the traditional Latin Mass, something you wanted to ask that you haven't been able to, Pat and I will be in the audience and we will be taking your questions. So we're going to welcome up Father Jack to answer those for us right now.
Oh, questions. So, anyway, Lily, thank you for speaking today. The way actually that happened was she went on the trip with her mom and dad to Washington for the March for Life. So the great thing is if you need to consider going to the March for Life, when we go, we just sit around and have conversations. And she was talking about. So I said, well. Her frankness and openness is very compelling. Okay, so she can get away with saying things that I couldn't possibly say, so it's good. I think that it is a very challenging time for all of us, right? Liturgically and everything else. And so she was describing how when she first went to the traditional Latin Mass, first she described the catatonic state that was evoked at many masses, and my screaming woke her up, I think, apparently. I just want to kind of give a description of that. one reason why my homilies have tended to be longer and energetic is because as a priest, you notice something, which is people aren't realizing Christ is in the Blessed Sacrament. And that's basically why that happens. Okay. It's a constant pointing to the Blessed Sacrament. The irony of the TLM is it solves the problem of long, loud homilies. Because what it does is if you don't get that everything's about Jesus and the Blessed Sacrament, you're just not getting it. And that this really is God, it's a God-man present, and everything about it points to that, not through words, because even the words that are being said are masked through the Latin, but through the actions. Okay, and that was something I'm learning now. So let me just put it this way. What Lily says is very challenging, particularly if you're from my generation, because my felt memory is only of the Novus Ordo, okay? I believe in Jesus. I became a priest. I preach Jesus. I've been, but I'm being challenged by what I read and I see. And it is challenging me. And I know it's challenging to some of you too. It could be threatening. It can sound confrontational that a teenager could be actually that enthusiastic about something that you said we're past and that you've been told this is over and we're moving beyond this. I understand that can be threatening, okay? But the point is, I'm actually not threatened by Lily. She's a young lady, and this is her felt heart experience. I'm a pastor. I'm supposed to be a father. And the enthusiasms that are good and holy of those in my parish, should I not recognize them? Somebody who's saying, I want to go to Mass. I find joy at Mass. Am I supposed to go, no, sorry, that's all past. I got a better idea for you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I love all my parishioners, and I want all my parishioners to be fed. And we're in a complicated time. But each of us needs to come before Jesus and be united in the fact that Christ is in that Blessed Sacrament. However that's going to be done. So whatever decisions I make, I listen to my young people. I listen to old people. I listen to all people. And I understand people have different opinions. They have different ways of looking at it. I have people who consider leaving the parish because we're saying some things in Latin. Have people who come to the parish because we do that. But the point is, whether we do it in Latin or not, we're this Catholic Church and Christ is in that tabernacle, he's on that altar, okay? We can have debates about, I think Lily's opinion is really clear about which one she thinks is preferable, okay? I have other people who have the opinion that the Novus Ordo is preferable. They're both in this parish, okay? And I see that as a sign that I'm actually feeding a broader base of people, okay? But I have to listen to the Lilies because I'm getting old and I'm going to die. She's probably going to be around. Okay, so she's going to have an impact, and I want her to want to go to Mass, to love the Mass, and to appropriate the joy that she experienced. The irony is she's kind of speaking like a charismatic about her experience at the TLM. You understand what I'm saying? If any of you, for example, in my priesthood, I never imagined in my life that when I was 64 at St. Monica's, I'd have somebody talking about being overwhelmed with joy at a traditional Latin Mass. But I've heard it today. Okay. So some people say, well, my first feeling of being overwhelmed by joy was, singing Jesuit 70s hymns and whatever. I understand that. I've been overwhelmed with joy in both situations, okay? But I think it's important that we listen to others, respond, do what we're supposed to do as fathers and mothers. My goal is not to force upon another person what they don't prefer and just tell them you better like it, okay? All right, does that make sense? So anyway, listen, I basically said, be the frank and open person that you are, and she did that. So she did a really good job, okay? So I know that might have been terrifying for some of you, but I taught middle schoolers, and guess what? When I taught them, they were frank and they were open, and guess what? I didn't hold it against them. Because you know what it meant? that they trusted that I would listen. They trusted that was in their heart they could share it appropriately in a safe place. And that means we're the adult and they're the young person. Discretion becomes something we practice in a different way when we get older, okay? Right? And this is the way, this is how we learn. This is what we do, okay? So the vulnerability that I see is so beautiful in the younger hearts. You know, it's such a good thing because they'll say things that you might not say to your spouse, right? And why do they do this? It's because they trust. And they believe that what's in their heart should be shared with people who they love and who they care and who care about them. Does that make sense? Okay, for many of us, we've been through hard times, difficult times. We don't share so openly, okay? But to see that again, that's what keeps us young, doesn't it? Like when I was teaching, one reason I did it, it kept me young. Some people say it kept me immature, but I think it kept me young. Okay, so anyway, that's my idea. So, well, okay, one thing I just want to encourage, this as an advertisement again. If you would write this, and we can collect these today, but also if you want to spend more time, you can write and put it in an envelope and drop it in our box over here. We have you may not know it, but we have a box you can drop stuff in right outside our office over there. You see it's silver, I believe. It's the drop box. That's what you do. You drop stuff in there. Then drop only appropriate things in there, please. But nonetheless, that's where the drop box is. So you might want to do that later, but I encourage you to do it, please. We did have a listening session yesterday. I think I've been successful in my expression of the attitude about the synodality. We had 0 people show up. So I don't know if that's a sign of success or failure, but it just depends on how you look at it. But anyway, we did have that listening session yesterday, but nonetheless, I'm giving these to you to fill out so that we can have an expression of some of the opinions of the people at St. Monica's. Now, I think we had some questions. I got 2 ladies out there. I got 2 angels out there. Anybody has any questions? I don't know if I can answer it, but...
Father Jack.
Yes.
A parent of some small children has asked me to ask this question. I think they're busy taking care
A
of little
parent
children.
of small children. In height or age? Or both?
Both.
Okay, there we go.
What should parents of small children instruct their kids to do during the periods of silence at the traditional Latin Mass, other than think about Jesus? How do we help them through the liturgy with fewer responses, hymns, etc.?
Yes. I think it's mystical, isn't it? So I guess I could say, well, you're the parents. You should be figuring this out. I'm just a priest, right? I should be asking you that question. What works with you? Okay. Let me tell you what I noticed. First of all, as you know, we're a very children-friendly parish. Generally speaking, I've had some people who had a note recently for somebody say, man up and tell these parents to be quiet with their kids over here. And I'm like, I thought my manning up was being a good father and welcoming them into the church. But apparently his idea of manhood was me taking control and saying, get out with your screaming child. I was like, well, I guess about 50% of my parish would leave if I did that. But anyway, my idea of parenting is it's mystical, and it differs from family to family and from child to child. So I currently have kids who are actually Hellions. I'm not sure that baptism completely took. Now, it's just, what it is what are you doing as a parent? Your child's marked with original sin. How do you know that? Because they're baptized, but they still behave like this, right? It's a sign of, and what it is their will is what they want to get done. And that's essentially the problem of the fall, which is I want to do whatever I want to do. And that happens in a terrible 2-year-old, happens in a rebellious 13-year-old. It's all the same thing, and it happens in the current leadership of the world. I want to do what I want to do, and if things go wrong, I'll blame other people for it. Okay, that's the current leadership. So you're in trench warfare on a daily basis, and each one of your kids is different and matures at a different rate. And some days are better and some days are worse. Who can actually in any way quantify this or define this? Nobody. So here's the only suggestions I have. First of all, if your child's not setting fire to the parish, And if the volume isn't so high that it's going to bring the church down, like when Samson pulled down the whatever, try to focus as much as you can on what's happening. The more that you turn to your child, and the more they want your attention. Okay, so I'm not saying they're not sleeping dogs. They're wild animals. I understand this, okay? The thing used to say when I was teaching was let a sleeping dog lie. So if you had a child that misbehaved a lot, if they were sleeping, that was a big advantage. Just let them sleep through the class while drool came out of their mouth. But for your children, there's more going on. There's potential injuries among siblings, potential, pews that could come crashing down on somebody's foot. There's lots of things that could happen that could wreak havoc, bring stitches, tear down the church. I understand that. Try to observe that as much as you can through your peripheral vision, but try to, as much as possible, do what you're doing at Mass. Because sometimes the kid gets drawn up to what you emphasize and what you focus on. You'll see this periodically. They don't do this when they're misbehaving, but sometimes they just start imitating you and doing what you do, right? And so do what you do at Mass as much as you possibly can, and just be constantly moving back into that action. That's my suggestion. As a pastor, what am I doing? At Mass, I'm doing what I do at Mass. That's my example for you and your kids. And what you notice is sometimes they get drawn into it because they know your focus as an adult in it. You'll notice every once in a while the child will look at you and just start wanting to imitate or do what you're doing. That's what the goal is over time. I've seen the kids at 2, 3, 4, 5, total hellions, out of control. There's no hope. We're despairing. I understand you're going on a 24/7 basis with this. I understand. This is your cross. Accept it. What happens, though, is when they're 5, 6, 7, if you've been bringing them, they begin to behave. It's as simple as that. And how do they behave? Better than anyone else. If you've been bringing them and they have been misbehaving over time, they become the best in the parish. Yes?
Father, they asked me just to share. So some of the things that we have done.
Oh, here we go. We're getting an expert. I'm glad, finally.
Trust me. No. Like Father said, setting the example as mother and father, focusing on the Mass, but also, we would have a conversation with them before we go in. We'd say, okay, we want you to sit. We want you to try to sit as still as you can. We want to focus on Jesus. Now, of course, your 2-year-old's going to look at you and say, yeah, right. We had special bags where we brought books that were prayerful books. They were maybe the hard books. They were saint books. They were maybe even coloring books that were just about maybe the rosary, or we would bring children, faith activity type things that they could be quiet with while you're still trying to be prayerful and set that example. And so these would be tangible things. As they start to make noise, or one's trying to sit on the other or squeeze between somebody or get closer to whatever, we would try to redirect them, always telling them to look at Jesus. Even with our youngest who's special needs, we've always look at Jesus, prayer hands. Let's try to stay still. And we would let them bring things in that kind of help to direct them, maybe things that we wouldn't necessarily have them doing at home, so it was still fresh and new during Mass. So we would have, Erica has her special bag that we made, it's her Mass bag. And she knows, even though she's neurologically, she can't speak, when we go to Mass, first thing she does is she grabs her bag. And she has things, and they copy, they emulate. So like when Father gives his fired up homilies, which I love, because I'm a convert from the Baptist faith, so I feel really at home when Father's fired up. But now going into the traditional Latin Mass and the silence of it, I take notes and I write, because I have short-term memory loss, and I want to meditate on Father's words and what Father Trun has to say. Well, Erica will get a pad out and she's just writing. So they see what you're doing and they're copying. So don't be afraid to let them have those examples.
We have one more question, Father Jack.
I grew up with the Latin Mass, but I don't remember when I stood up or knelt.
Right.
So I'm delighted when you're there, because I can follow you. I don't understand why the books don't tell you that, Neil.
Why what?
The book doesn't tell
That's
you
because
that.
in the TLM, interestingly enough, there was no regulation. You actually had complete freedom to do whatever you want.
Really?
So yeah, the irony of the traditional Latin Mass is that you were free to do Mass, any posture, whatever, except when you receive Holy Communion. That's completely nowadays, in the Novus Order, there are very directions for you to do stuff during, except when you come to communion, in which case you can stand, you receive in the hand, you can be kneel. You have all the options there. And so in the TLM, it's inverted, which is to say, in the TLM, you're free once you're in the sanctuary, or not in the sanctuary, when you're in the nave, but when you get to the altar, that is very strictly defined. Okay, so it's interesting. I think there's something to meditate on in that inversion. That's why. So what we're doing here is we're merely saying, look, since there's no set actual descriptions of what you're to do as a lay person in the pews, what we'll do is just have you cue off of the assisting priest and when he stands and so forth. And what that does is it just enables you to have a posture that's common. But again, that would be customary in a given area. It's not something that's defined. It's not in the rubrics. What is strictly defined is what the priest does. He's offering sacrifice. So that's very strictly defined. And also, when a person comes to receive the Blessed Sacrament, that's very strictly defined because of the reverence we're to show to Jesus and the sacrifice that's been offered. So all of that changed in the whole vision and understanding of the Novus Ordo. That was radical change. So now it tells you when to stand, sit, you sing, you respond. So there's more of this activity in which you're defined what you should do.
And what about should we be responding?
The response is done by the altar servers. You can respond, but not in a louder voice. So typically what's happening, like I'm up there when I'm assisting as a priest, Dominus vobiscum et tu spirit. I do the responses, but not loud. The altar servers are the ones who are required to do those responses. And so part of it was over the time as Latin became challenging for people, that was used liturgically. There's a liturgical action. The priest is carrying it out. The altar servers are assisting, and they're actually being trained if they're to become a priest in what they need to know at the beginning before they become a priest. All of this really is geared toward the offering of the sacrifice and the formation of priests as altar servers, okay? So that's kind of the idea of it. And you have to remember, too, that part of the challenge was people were not literate. And so people going to Mass, it was, only recently do we have, it's ironic that right when people were literate, we could mass produce books. Everyone could be actually reading what's at the Mass, that we decided to make it in the vernacular. If you really think about it, we were now at the stage in publishing everything else where you could be forming people even though the language was set. Okay, so it's an interesting, you can read the heated debates and arguments and stuff at the Vatican Council and go back through it. So it's interesting, and each of us have different opinions about that. All right, time's up. This thing, boom. All right, everybody stand up. All right, so yeah, I think I'm challenged today. Lily challenged me. I mean, that's all I got to say. She was challenging to me today. Lily, you challenge your pastor here. But nonetheless, I think if we would have charity, common sense, patience, joy, all these things enable us to, during these difficult times, love each other well, find places where people can have different opinions. We're okay with that. Let's find where opinions can be had, and let's find also where principles need to be lived by all of us. There's some fundamental, grounded principles and doctrines that all of us need to say yes, 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 yes to. And then there's opinions about which we don't need to get in undue arguments with each other or hate on each other because of it. That makes sense? God's calling us to that. Say, let's be grown-ups. Let's be mature in terms of how we appreciate appropriate differences and yet are grounded in fundamentals. So as we pray, let us turn to our Mother in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. I guess I got to follow this up here. So, Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Santa Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. See how challenged I've been. Everybody have a great day.